Samantha Hare, and I serve as the Marketing and Communications Manager here at BJCCA. And I have the pleasure to sit down with Miss Carmen Mays. Now we go back. We do. We go back to behind the mic. Mm-hmm. I was at Woken Park Foundation. Yes. You Elevators on 4. Mm-hmm. So now I know I'm familiar with you, but tell our audience and all of our viewers, who is Carmen Mays? Tell us your story. Give us the picture.
Awesome. So I am a Birmingham native. My folks are from Tennessee. I grew up in West End, so I claim both of those neighborhoods. And I grew up being physically involved. My mother was a neighborhood officer. I walked to the library. I still remember when the new Titsville Library was being built. So the one that is 30 years old, I used to go to the one before that as well. And I just grew up being very interested in public life and how the public was formed. So fast forward to going to college at the University of Alabama at Huntsville. I have a degree in foreign language and international trade. And I have my master's in public administration from UAB. And I've since had a career in local government focused on urbanism, economic development, community development, transportation, housing, all of those initiatives that really shape how people experience cities and how the built environment changes how we experience life and how we can use these various disciplines within civic life to actually fight for the well-being of people and not against them.
I love that. So when you saw what you knew, because we reached out to you,
yes.
But when you saw the bus when it was unveiled a couple of weeks ago, just tell me about how that felt. I know that had to feel amazing.
It did, because so often the things that I'm talking about are not necessarily popular among people. We often hear about gentrification and things of that nature, and I tell people gentrification doesn't start with somebody buying a house in your neighborhood. Gentrification starts when we implement the idea in our young residents that they can measure success by how far they can get away from the neighborhood. That's when gentrification starts, when we start evaluating our own neighborhoods and treat them as places that we should be in. And so I was glad. I was like, oh, people are going to look up urbanism. People are going to wonder what urbanism is, and more specifically, how it works for Black people. We often hear about urbanism or as a substitute for urbanism, bike lanes or other things, and think, oh, that's for other people. And I'm glad that this billboard is going around saying, no, urbanism is for us too. Urbanism is a way that we can improve the quality of our lives, and we can improve our own well-being in the neighborhoods that we already are, and that these improvements are not for somebody else, they are for us.
I love that. And literally that is our mission here at BJCCA, is to be a growing contributor to the life quality of our community. So the work that you do with Elevators on 4 and everything that you speak for and stand for is exactly why you're one of our Birmingham Has More Icons. But you talked about underserved or things that needed a little bit more attention. So one of the things that, these bus wrap things are something that Max Transit has been doing for quite a while. What's something or what's an area that you feel like deserves a little attention that you would like to see highlighted on one of our bus routes?
Native plants. I'm a big proponent of moving away from turf lawns that have to be mowed once a week and watered indefinitely to lawns that actually work for our environment and work for the people that they're using. So whether it's growing food, growing herbs, using different plants to ward off pests as opposed to adding more chemicals to the ground. Birmingham is full of chemicals already. We already know. We don't need to add any more. And just creating ways to where the burden of home ownership is decreased. I mean, you think about people moving into homes. One of the things you have to think about now is like how to take care of the lawn. Now you have to mow grass. Now you have to buy a lawnmower. Now you have to buy an edger and a weed. It's like all these other things that you have to do. But if we redesign the way we, did nature around our homes, we could have very low maintenance, high impact spaces that would actually increase housing affordability because it removes that cost and burden along with taking care of the home. So highlighting native plants, talking about how we can move to more sustainable agriculture, urban agriculture, and the importance of trees in our neighborhoods, not just for our health, but also to lower the cost of our heating and cooling. But having a tree in your yard that blocks the sun in the summertime works wonders. And so I'm happy to see things like cool green trees come along and other things like that to really reorient our people around how nature is something we work with, not that we work against.
I like that. And you talk about sustainability, and that's another initiative that we are proud to be a part of and support here at Max with our CNG buses.
Yes.
We are trying to reduce the carbon footprint, by lower fuel emissions. So that's something that we do here at Max too. So that might be something. Literally, as you say that, I think about our CEO. She has a grow where you are planted thing, and so I was thinking, I'm like, okay, my wheels are turning. Like my team knows they're probably laughing inside. Like I'm always thinking my wheels are always turning about how we can make something, always marketable, but always going back to that deeper message. So as a Birmingham native, you talked about in Titusville, you saw the library that's not the library that's there now. You saw the original, you saw this new one being built. What's something that, as you think about Birmingham and you watch Birmingham grow beyond in front of your eyes, because you still live here in the community, what's something that you're proud of that we've done, but what's something that we need to continue to do as far as whether, I know the restaurant scene is amazing, so you're probably not going to say that, but that might be what you're proud of. But what's something that you see that we do really well and something that you're proud of to be around?
We have a lot of long-term home ownership in a lot of predominantly African American and Black neighborhoods. It doesn't get talked about a lot how many people own their homes and still live in their homes 30, 45, 50 years later, and how that really adds to the stability of our neighborhoods and the stability of the city. These people who made a choice. I think often people think, people live in Birmingham because they can't afford to live anywhere else. And what's often overlooked is the fact that there are people who can afford to live anywhere, but they choose to live in Birmingham. And they don't get enough credit for stabilizing their communities and stabilizing the city, particularly during the economic downturn in 2007, 2008, and other times when things weren't going as well as they could have gone. These people did not flee. They believed in Birmingham. They stayed. My parents, one of those folks, I live on the same street as my parents now. And even when I'm working with folks in our different neighborhoods, to see people who have stuck it out, who have chosen, College Hills is my neighborhood, who have chosen Bush Hills, who've chosen Eaglewood, who've chosen Roebuck Springs, and they're like, I'm not leaving. This is my neighborhood, and I love it. And I think those folks, that they don't get enough love and enough appreciation for what they have done to, create the Birmingham, or lay the foundation for the Birmingham that we know and love, for this food scene to thrive, for this bar scene to thrive, for all these parks, for Royal Park, for Red Mountain Park, for all these places to be sustained and to continue to grow. If it weren't for those people who chose Birmingham, who stayed here, there would be no foundation for all these other things to exist.
I like that, and that's the perfect segue into building that foundation. So part of the reason why, when you think about Black history, a lot of times I tell my team it's always these black and white photos. Don't get me wrong, we can't be now, today, and the future and embrace our present without remembering our past, which is the foundation that we stand on. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight with this year's Birmingham Has More Icons, everybody, except for one, just recently passed, but everybody else, they're still right here contributing to our community right now, and they're doing work right now. So that was why I wanted to make sure that it wasn't necessarily like history per se, but history in the making. So as we talk about the celebration and we think about Birmingham continues to make this history in the making, what does this mean for you? Like when Carmen Mays like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be on a Black History bus ride. What did that mean for you?
Well, it meant a lot because it was kind of full circle. So when I was a graduate intern, I was studying at UAB for a Master's in Public Administration. I was an intern at the Regional Planning Commission of Greater Birmingham. And my project was the In-Town Transit Partnership, which is today the BRT system.
Oh my goodness.
So I actually worked on that project. At that time, it was designed to go up and down 20th Street like a Coca-Cola bus does now. And the east-west route was the second phase. So fast forward from first Obama term to now, the second phase became the first phase because the Coca-Cola bus took the first phase. So I got to be there with some of the other planners who were employed at the Regional Planning Commission when it opened in Five Points West, which is also great because I'm from West End. So like it's in my community, I can ride my bike from my house to the buses that I help bring into this world. So to be on another bus, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like, this is really confirmation that all the hell I raised is worth it, because it's like I'm on a bus, and like I have a miniature bus in my office from my work when I worked in Atlanta. So I have a miniature Greta bus, and I'm a big proponent of alternative transportation. I love riding bus. I love riding train. Anywhere I travel, I'm always using public transportation, always advocating for it. Even when we traveled to Atlanta for a conference, I had Counselor Oakland and Counselor Clark on the MARTA because I'm like, we need to be experiencing this so we can be better advocates for people around better modes of transportation and getting around. When I'm out of the country, I'm on a train, I'm on a bus, I'm on a tram, I'm on a ferry, I'm on anything that's not a private car, because I think these are not only great ways to be sustainable in the environment. I meet people, you don't meet people in your car. I get to see, because I'm not trying to drive, so I get to see what I'm actually looking at, and I get a better experience for wherever I'm visiting. So I was overjoyed. My parents are more excited than me. I think my mom was a little disappointed that I'm not like overtly like jumping up and down. But
you are inside.
I am inside. That's just how I make up.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I know you're more reserved, but I could tell you were excited.
Yeah, I was definitely excited, but it was really cool because it was a bus, and I know like public transportation has been something I've advocated for, and something that's really dear to me culturally, because of how we have kind of positioned riding a bus as something that poor people do, and how one of the difficulties of getting people in our community to be interested in public transportation is like stigma of poverty and the stigma of classism around public transportation. And so as a person who is well educated and I don't make a lot of okay, but I do all right. I'm okay. I'm stable in this economy. But it's important that people see all kinds of people on transportation, public transportation, so we know that it is for everybody and we can reduce the stigma. I was like, Scrubs is a song that talks poorly about carpooling. It's like Scrubs is a guy, you sit on the passenger side, and I'm like, that man is carpooling. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And so we have to reconfigure our messaging around what is appropriate, and definitely not centering everything in capitalism and centering our worth in capitalism, but saying, hey, like, I'm telling you, there's nothing stopping me some days from getting on 3 Jefferson. I'll take my bike, take it up next street over, put it on the front of that bus, and I'll ride downtown if that fits in my schedule. Like, these are things I look forward to. So I'm glad that we're on there. Not just as a tribute, but as to say, hey, I'm an urbanist, I believe in public transportation for everybody, and we all need to get on this bus.
I love that. And that is a perfect segue into one of my last questions for you. How do you see not only yourself and other people represented on the bus, but even mass transit in our community coming together to help make public transit, how do we make a catalyst for change? How do we help propel that change right here in our community? Because perspective and mindset is a hard thing, but how do you envision yourself to help be a catalyst for that change?
Yeah, I think just talking about it, showing people that we do it, hosting rides, like, meetups. I tell people we could meet up at 5 Points West and we could just ride down BRT to somewhere. And really could figure out how it works within everyday life. How do I use public transportation if I want to go out for drinks with my friends and I don't want to risk having to drive, and creating those trips and showing people this is how you can incorporate these amenities.
Yes.
Into your activities, so you can have a positive experience. And I think people don't really know how. I tell folks riding public transportation is a skill that you have to develop. Like navigation is a skill.
Yes.
Like most people don't. The only way they know how to get somewhere is like putting it in the GPS. Like they leave their house, they only know one way somewhere. Like people do not have necessarily good spatial recognition and understanding. So teaching people how different modes of transportation can get them different places. Creating challenges for young people, like, you start here, how do you get here? Like, now go do, I taught my nieces and nephews how to ride public transportation in Atlanta. I taught them how to, walk from the house and read a bus stop and know what the times mean and which direction the bus was going, how to get to the College Park station, because they all want to like go to the mall by themselves. And I'm like, I'm not taking you to the mall. If you want to go to the mall, you need to figure out how to get off on the Linux stop. And so I taught them. And then I told them, like, as long as you're on the train, you're never lost. The train only goes so many places. But they learned, and they developed not only independence, but confidence in themselves, and that they can handle themselves in the world because they can move themselves freely in the world. And so I think like developing this skill not only gives people like a real skill that's transferable to other transit systems anywhere in the world, but it builds a confidence in people about their ability to move through the world.
Yeah, and I love that you said integrating it into our everyday lives. Like I know when I first started with the team last year, Magic City Sips was something that I was very well aware of even before coming to Max, but it made perfect sense. We're not supposed to drink and drive. Right. So why not, these different restaurants that are downtown that were part of Magic City Sips, or should I say bars rather, that, why not incorporate that, figure out what route goes past there. And that's one small step. And next thing you do, you're making it your lunch stop, or maybe you're going to a Barons game, and you're right, integrating it right there into everyone. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Carmen, for taking the time to chat with us. Be sure to check out the bus. We'll be sure to get you riding it.
Yeah, absolutely. If I was like driving all over town, defeat her, trying to find the bus. I'm looking for the bus.
Thank you so much. We are so appreciative of you. Thank you so much for your support.
Birmingham has more icons.